Ladies and gentlemen, hi.
Welcome to Group Chat.
Welcome to Group Chat. We have a guest today that we probably should have had a long time ago.
Well, no, we shouldn't have because...
You're right. You're right.
For health purposes, we avoided him. I actually said, no, don't come in.
Yeah.
A month ago because I was afraid of him.
Yeah, we were texting a little bit and he was like, I'll do it on Monday or whatever. And we were going to do a call in, but those are always shitty.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of scared of you for a little bit.
Yeah.
The reason
that
why...
wasn't very nice.
Yeah, it's not very nice at all. And we should have trusted you, really.
I think you needed to learn a little bit more about coronavirus and be educated. And maybe after I'm here, you won't be so scared of people anymore.
That's what we're here to do today. I think we might have lost a month of...
education?
Of education. Okay, so we have Dr. Jeff Toll. He's here to talk about all things corona. Not only can he speak... I mean, this is great. You were saying earlier, you're a business owner.
Yep.
So you're affected by this.
Yep.
You are a doctor, so you're affected by this.
Yep.
And you were a victim of corona. You had it.
Yeah, I haven't really told many people about this, but at the very beginning of sort of the whole coronavirus thing in early March, I had a bunch of, I don't know specifically which patient gave it to me, but a bunch of patients, young people traveling from Europe, people in the hospital, and we weren't really ready from a PPE standpoint in the office. You know, I had a surgical mask. I didn't have really goggles or anything when I was seeing the patients. And I think I must have gotten it from one of them.
So to give people background, Jeff Toll is the younger brother of Brian Toll, who is
better brother.
Definitely the taller, better looking version.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've known Jeff, since he was in high school. And he, let's give some credentials. Where'd you go to med school?
So I went to medical school at Jefferson in Philadelphia. I did my residency at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. And then now I have an internal medicine concierge practice based out of Century City here in LA.
And Jeff is his client roster of a lot of my friends.
Which you can't talk about.
Which are all, he is a fancy doctor. Let's just put it like that.
Whenever we talk about rich people having the best healthcare and the whatever.
Yeah, it's Dr. Jeff.
It's Dr. Jeff.
This is the guy that goes this is the house call guy.
Yeah.
I'm a fancy person. I need a house call.
Yeah.
So we do house calls, but it's much more than that. It's allowing people to have access. So, it's people have a question, they can text you. People have some, health goal. It's nice to have a doctor being with you proactively to kind of set those markers ahead of time, and just kind of be managing overall your health, picking the specialist for you, and just making sure everything's up to date and you're getting ahead of things.
Your brother has a lot of problems, right? Like he's got allergies,
I feel like he probably thinks he has more problems than he does.
My brother's a little bit of a hypochondriac.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't like blood draws. That's one thing.
Yeah. He's a bit of a
good.
pussy.
No.
But yeah, I think you have one of the more interesting perspectives of corona because, and you know what I do appreciate that you don't call it COVID-19. Like, what the fuck is that?
That's the higher end.
Yeah, why do people say that?
That's the actual disease, right?
So COVID-19 is the disease caused by coronavirus that was found in 2019. That's how it got the name COVID-19.
Yeah.
There are other coronaviruses out there, which is why medical people and doctors call this one COVID-19. But I think ultimately we all know what we're talking about in the public. So
okay, well that's good.
COVID-19 just sounds too fancy and scientific. I don't think.
It sounds douchebaggy.
I hear people calling it like SARS-CoV-2 now. Like, is there a new name?
Yeah, so SARS-CoV-2. So SARS obviously was that coronavirus that came about 10 years ago, was mostly in like Asia, Hong Kong. And this, when it first started, they were in China, they were calling it SARS-2 because they didn't know what it was yet. And so when those first tests were formed to like test people for the virus, those labs were calling it SARS-CoV-2, means coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. So that has carried over in like the scientific community.
Got it.
When you look for the virus with an RNA swab, they call it SARS-CoV-2, but the disease that it causes is called COVID-19.
I'm going to start going with SARS-CoV-2. It makes you sound way smarter.
Yeah.
SARS-CoV-2.
I'm like, be careful. I don't want to get SARS-CoV-2.
That sounds like a pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
Like the
SARS-CoV-2
flu game shoe.
Yeah.
It's a SARS-CoV-2 shoe.
Yeah.
So you explain to us what you got. Did you get the whole COVID SARS-CoV-2 whatever?
I did. So I was very lucky that it actually started having symptoms on a Friday night. So I'd been seeing patients all week. Friday night, I started getting sick. Luckily, I didn't have to, I had someone covering me that weekend. I ended up getting really sick over the weekend, fever, cough, the whole thing, body aches. I lost smell, taste, the whole thing. But this was at the very early March. So this was when I had a lot of patients that were sick. So I was actually working from home doing 20, 25 phone calls a day in bed with a fever. I went on the CBS News with a fever, also from home.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah. You look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad.
I mean, listen, this is a virus that picks on the weak.
So you're weak.
Well, it's interesting. Like the 1918 pandemic, what was so scary about that one is, at least from the published data that we have, it really affected the 20 to 35-year-olds. That's who was getting sick and dying. And so that's why that one was so scary. This one in California, for example, the published statistic is about 50% of all the deaths in California are actually nursing home patients. So it's really picking on those that are at the highest risk. So yes, I was sick. It felt worse than a typical flu. I've seen patients in the ICU. I've seen mostly, older people with medical problems who are really sick, but I have seen younger people get really sick. There's no doubt about it, but it's sporadic. Mostly it's picking on the weak.
It seems like our friend Andrew Watt had it pretty bad. He posted about it.
Yeah.
And he was saying he was on oxygen, and that's one of the ones that kind of scared me because he's a younger guy. Right.
But he's a rock star. God knows what that guy's doing.
That's true. He's probably not taking a lot of vitamin C.
Yeah, he's out with Post Malone. There's a whole song about Post Malone parties.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
you can imagine what his life is like.
Okay, all right. That one scared me because I was a young guy, and when we spoke early on, you were like, I have seen younger people get it bad, but is it like vast? Like, would you say that?
Keep in mind we're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of cases.
Yeah.
And then on the news, they're scaring you, showing you 3 or 4 young people or children that are sick. So keep in mind with how terrible the testing was when this started.
Yeah.
We're likely, like we've talked about before, a whole decimal place off on the number of cases.
Yep.
So if it's really more like 10 million cases, not 1 million cases in the US, then if you're seeing, even hundreds or thousands of younger people with severe illnesses, it's really 1 out of, 10,000, 1 out of 100,000 young people.
Yep.
It's not, I don't think, as dangerous as we think for young people.
So I remember when this whole thing started, you took it very seriously, and you were also advising all of us to take it very seriously. And then, I saw you last week. We were at your brother's house, just having dinner, and it seems like you've eased up from it. What's your thought now? Because what is this thing a hoax or what's going on here?
So it's not a hoax. We needed more data. When this first started, we had no idea how deadly was it, how infectious was it, were we going to have any medications that could help, how far away was a vaccine. We didn't even have equipment to protect ourselves, and that's why I got sick. And so what we saw in Italy and New York were 2 examples of if you do nothing, the hospitals get overrun, and then people who would have survived won't, and staff, everyone's going to get sick. It's a disaster. So clearly that option doesn't work. But once we started to realize, listen, once you do social distancing, relatively stay at home, people who are at higher risk obviously need to be more careful and stay at home. Then we start to realize that at a certain point, we may actually be doing more harm than good by enforcing strict stay-at-home orders when right now the hospitals are empty. In my hospital, I work out of Cedars-Sinai, the hospital has half the beds are empty.
Which is insane because that's our local hospital. It's always slammed.
So we typically run at about 90% occupancy, but that's because we're doing, elective hip surgeries, knee surgeries. People are coming in for, people right now are so scared because of coronavirus. They have chest pain. They
don't even come.
Blood, bleeding from their butt. They're not coming to the hospital because they're more worried about theoretically getting coronavirus. So the problem is, I think an ideal government strategy would be to attempt in each local area. We have to be very granular and understand that every local area is very different from every other. So at a certain point, there was an opportunity to get the case number to 0. We're long past that. It's impossible. We'll never get to 0. So staying indoors, we've flattened the curve, but that doesn't reduce the area under the curve. There's going to be the same total number of cases. It's just spreading it out over more time. So what we need to do is in each local area, aim to be below that hospital's capacity, but not 50% capacity. I think we need to be able to be higher, 80, 90% capacity and get the economy going, because people are going to start hurting, even medically, not being able to afford medications if they lose their job. A lot of people have their health insurance through their employment, and now 30% of people are unemployed. So there are health, even if we're just talking about health and not the economy, there's health problems from, just keeping everyone indoors.
Yeah.
Do you think that, so then how do we get back to normal now? So like, what's your view on it versus, let's say, the idiot in charge who's just like, I'll get those boats out there, honk those boats on Memorial Day weekend, and let's just go. Like,
so the problem was we had this 3-month pause to make a plan, and we sort of didn't. We made a pause, but we didn't make a plan, so we got halfway there. So in terms of how do we reopen, so one thing everyone talks about is the rapid testing, especially rapid testing. So theoretically, if you had an office building and you could test every single person and it took 5 to 10 minutes to get the result, you could test everyone at the door and have them all walk in. So obviously that would be one thing. But I think just a broader strategy of keeping the most high-risk people at home as much as possible, being very careful around the nursing homes, especially rapid testing or testing around nursing homes. And then, the last piece of this is people wearing masks and things when they're in public in a crowd. So, as you said, we had dinner with a few people. If 4 or 6 people have dinner together, the worst case scenario is those 4 or 6 people get coronavirus.
fuck.
That's not as bad as someone getting on a bus or in a restaurant and giving it to everyone there. So that's why in public places, people really do need to be wearing masks, and that will stop the transmission significantly.
But doesn't like those 4 people at dinner get it, then they take it home to their wives, then they go have a quick little wine night with their friends. Like, is that realistic, or is that too scary thinking?
It's true. I mean, that's true. That's part of why it spread so fast. But there's also these super spreading events like we see in the meatpacking factories. When you're in tight quarters, it spreads really fast.
For example, John Turgeon came on here, told us he got it. His wife and kid didn't get it, right? Like, how is that possible?
Well, I think they really tried to stay in separate rooms since the symptoms came on. Obviously, we knew he was shaking hands with everyone. He was a high risk of getting it. So
he's a carrier.
Very early on, we thought he may have had it. So
I shook his hand.
I think the other government failing, or what we could look back and consider a big mistake, was the government ended up giving away $2 trillion and then $3 trillion. And they were trying to give money directly to people, small businesses, and all of that made sense if we could just pause and in 2 or 3 months we're back in business. That made sense. But without any plan to restart, you could wonder whether a better use of $3 trillion was rapid testing, the capacity of rapid testing to be distributed, all of these things that we're no closer now than we were 3 months ago. So we needed the pause to have hospitals, doctors have enough equipment, protective equipment.
Get some more data,
know how deadly this was. Now that we know it's a little less deadly than we thought, we have protective equipment. Is the best use of money to hand everyone a check for $1,000 and have them wait at home longer? Or is the best use of that money to make rapid testing realistic? So
you envision a world, which I keep hearing a lot of people, that you're just getting tested every single day, everywhere you go.
Well, I think elderly people, like for example, nursing homes. That's where a lot of the deaths are happening. Every worker, every nurse and doctor that goes in, they should be tested every day, and you would save the lives potentially of 50 people because they would all get it at once. Those big, when there's a big congregation of people, you sort of need to do that. That's the only way sports is going to be able to come back. If a football game, one guy has it in the locker room, there's 50 guys in there, they're all going to get it.
Yeah.
So those people need to be sort of tested every day. But I don't, there's no timeline for this.
Yeah.
So it's unrealistic that it's going to happen anytime soon. So the best we can do now is to have the high risk people sort of still stay at home, and the lower risk people be willing to say, if my livelihood depends on it, I may be willing to have some risk,
Yeah.
We all take on risk every day.
Exactly.
We drive, we fly. People take on other risks, all the time. And so there's a certain point where, if your risk is relatively low for you, even if you're not able to get testing every day, just by wearing a mask and washing your hands and not sitting right next to people, you may be willing to go back to work if your business depends on it.
Yeah. So here's the big question. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's coming up. Everyone's hitting the beach.
I don't doubt that.
So
Beaches are open.
So technically, they did a state by state breakdown of every single beach state and or lake and how they're handling it. Looks like parking is going to be shut, like in places like California. But you have access to the beach. They don't want large gatherings of people sitting on the sand, but they didn't say don't. I was at the beach on Saturday. I went for a walk. There was a ton of people just walking around. I have a feeling people are just going to plop their asses there and hang out. Here's the thing. Bathrooms are closed. So bring a bottle to piss in.
Just go waist deep in the ocean.
Yeah, go
what
to
are
the
you
ocean.
doing?
So whatever it is, to me, this is the big weekend where I think a lot of people are going to interact because everyone's just
Mardi Gras.
yeah, this is it. This is Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think this is another example of, instead of having a plan to slowly open and see what happens, they waited so long that people ran out of patience now, especially seeing that they don't know anyone who has it anymore.
Yeah.
They don't know anyone who's sick. In March, everyone knew someone who was sick or had it. Now, no one knows anyone. So everyone's tired of waiting. So they're just all going to go out. And the problem is you could see a smart plan where we sort of open one thing at a time, and keep in mind to really understand what each change in society we're making is doing. We really need to wait 2 or 3 weeks, because there's an incubation period of, 4 days to 14 days till someone gets it. And then another week or so till they're really sick and in the hospital. And then another week or two before people die. So if we're looking at hospitalization rate as what's telling us what's working or not, we're not going to know for 2 or 3 weeks after that next opening whether this is having a big effect. And on the death side, we're not going to know for a month. So to me, it would have made much more sense to sort of pick one thing, anything that we open, and then you wait a week or 2, 3, see what's happening, and then slowly open one thing at a time.
Instead, this weekend, everyone's
It's
just
going to be
like,
insane.
So you think we'll have a flare up? You think 2 weeks from now?
I think, probably 2 to 3 weeks from now, we'll see a spike in hospitalizations and maybe deaths again.
And then another lockdown?
Well, hopefully not. I mean, from my standpoint, the only reason to lock down is if we get above what the hospital can handle in any local place.
Yeah.
And so the bigger cities like New York, especially the East Coast cities that have, subways and public transportation, they're at higher risk of having a relapse in cases. In LA, it's spread out so that I expect the cases to go up. But again, right now we're at 50% in the hospital, so we could handle more volume than there is right now.
And here's the thing: is even though we're hearing there are more people getting infected daily, it's a combination. Obviously, we're testing more, but it's unclear to me. I have not heard a stat on hospitalization. I've not heard of people getting ill. Does this temperature or treatments getting better? Because I'm reading that the president is taking the malaria medicine daily or whatever it is, and everyone's calling bullshit that he's not even taking it. Do you think he's taking it?
I was shocked by that.
I think he's just trying to prove a point. I'm not going to wear a mask. Everyone knows everyone's getting tested in the White House every single day. Right. He's not telling that to the American people because he wants to be like, I'm the big man. I'm going to eat my cheeseburger, drink my Coke.
Is he saying he's doing that to be preventative?
He's just saying
I think he's doing it to be provocative. I don't know. The data on that drug, first of all, it made no sense in the first place. They had tested it on 15 people. And they actually took people out of the study that got sicker. And then basically, since no one believed it was going to be a good candidate, basically the president made the VA be the test study for it. And they actually stopped the trial early because more people were dying who took the drug than who didn't, because it causes arrhythmias. And in Brazil, where is another country where the president there is like a big MAGA.
Yeah, he's a big idiot.
They did a trial there that also stopped early for the same reason. And so, I imagine the president's doctor's in a tough spot to get the pressure. Because I have, listen, I have big celebrity patients who think they know better than anyone. And they'll say, I want, put me on this, I want this. And at a certain point, I just have to say to them, I think you're more likely to die on this. I'm not going to give it to you. And if you want to switch doctors, you go ahead. But this is my advice.
And it's crazy. That's like the ego or the stubbornness of really wealthy, powerful people, is that like, and it's not just Trump, it's a lot of people like this that have this mindset of, oh, I heard this works, it must work, and I'm going to take it. And this is pronounced hydroxychloroquine, right?
Hydroxychloroquine, yeah.
So, I mean, like, this has become such a controversy because, it's unclear because I don't even believe the president's physical. Like when they tell me he has a clean bill of health.
Hell no.
I mean,
there was rumors he had a heart attack secretly.
Yeah, and Nancy Pelosi came out and talked about the drug he was taking and called him morbidly obese yesterday on television. So it's like, I mean, and the problem is that more people in America look like Donald Trump than not. So they look at him and say, okay, he's doing it. He seems healthy. He seems fine. And then you read these horror stories of just people injecting themselves with this crap and then dying.
It's tough. I think it's anyone who is in charge right now would have to realistically balance the pure health with the economy and all the other stuff. And it's difficult to do that. If I was in charge, my way of doing that would be to be as honest as possible about the health. And if we say that we think we need to open the economy, understanding some people may die, some people may get sick, but ultimately this is the best for our country, and have that difficult talk instead of basically shutting up the doctors and
denying science,
throwing out random things that are not true, denying science, shutting up Fauci, shutting up anyone who sort of disagrees with what he wants to happen.
So do you think, all this conspiracy that Fauci and Bill Gates are just going to inject chips in us and track us? I mean, so you're not a believer of that?
Well, what's crazy about these theories is the healthcare sector is down like 30%. Mm-hmm. And so it's not as if, we invented a disease so that we could make more money. People keep talking about...
Doctors are getting furloughed.
So one thing that's really funny is Medicare did this thing where they're paying you an extra 20% per encounter if the patient has coronavirus. So what that looks like in math is instead of making $100 per encounter, you make $120. So just from the PPE alone, wearing a mask, gown, gloves, for me, myself and the nurse, etc., I'm losing more than that extra money anyway.
Yeah.
But people are using that as evidence that we're making up.
Yeah.
Pretending there's more cases than there are. It's nuts.
I mean, as a doctor, you must be pretty frustrated how fucking stupid a lot of these people are.
I mean, I get...
Or you're just okay with it?
I get why people are frustrated about staying in. I get why people want to go back to work. They've worked a lot. My brother's a perfect example. You work your whole life, you build something, and then through no fault of your own, it's taken away, and you want to do what you're doing.
I think your brother should be a COVID test salesman.
Speaking of that.
Yeah, he'd be great at that. Yeah.
So interestingly, a lot of people obviously thought they were sick at some point between December and March. So a lot of people are interested in getting antibody testing. So it started, my patients were just so interested in it that I had to hire an extra nurse just to do house calls to get the blood to do more antibody testing. And then as people started hearing from my patients, friends, et cetera, that I'm doing it, I keep getting more and more. So I had to hire a second nurse to do it.
So if people are interested, can we send them your way?
Yeah, please do.
And you're in the Los Angeles area?
Yeah, so we can send people really anywhere from the beach to like downtown to the valley.
Which beach?
Oh, which beach? Like Santa Monica.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going Laguna.
We're not going down to the South Bay, really.
Okay, yeah.
We got to get some of those.
Yeah.
We can send you. We'll hook it up.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm just so curious. And is it true from what you know that once you have the antibodies, you're more resistant?
So this is a very interesting area of research right now. So there are antibodies that they think are neutralizing in a test tube. No one, because it's sort of inhumane, you cannot take someone with antibodies and then spray coronavirus on their face and see if they get it again.
But weren't they offering money for people to get corona?
I don't know.
I think so for test subjects early on. Everyone in our office was talking about it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that's true.
But so like, how does that affect the vaccine? Because we were talking about that before, right? Like,
yeah.
So we're reading about all these people potentially having vaccines, but like you're saying this is going to take forever.
So what's really scary about the vaccine is there's some viruses out there like HIV that after 30 years, there's still no vaccine.
That one I think is some sort of conspiracy.
HIV?
But
yeah, that's fair.
Theoretically, if there's going to be a vaccine, obviously they have to figure out if the antibodies truly give you protection or not. We do see cases where someone that we know had coronavirus ends up testing positive again. But what we don't know the answer to is the way the test is done. The test for the active infection is looking for any traces of the RNA of the virus. And theoretically, even after you kill the virus and it's dead in your body, you may have traces of the RNA left. So theoretically, you could still test positive, although the virus is all dead in your body. So no, it's not proved one way or the other. We believe that at least for a year or two, you probably have immunity.
This may be
that's bullshit.
What?
That's a bullshit vaccine.
Well, not for the vaccine. We're talking about if you actually get it.
But vaccine, you only get vaccine once every year, right?
So the thing is, if there was a vaccine that gave you a year of immunity, one possible answer would be to get boosters for it. This virus has mutated a little bit. This is a really scary thought I'm just going to throw out there.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Great.
So obviously viruses slowly mutate. RNA viruses more so than DNA viruses.
I don't know what RNA is.
RNA is like the crappy DNA. So DNA, there's two strands that are connected to each other, and one strand is like the editor for the other one to make sure that it's correct. Mm-hmm. RNA viruses only have one strand, so if there's a mistake, it just goes on, and that's what it is.
Okay.
The more human beings that this virus is in, the more total copies of the virus are out there in the world. And thus, the more opportunities there are for that virus to mutate and become resistant to the antibodies formed from a prior infection or from a vaccine.
That's what I'm saying. Don't you think coronavirus is just a part of our lives for like the next who knows how long, if not forever? There's just this.
So vaccine then becomes irrelevant. It's just there's a time of year and people just like the flu, get infected, and it's just part of life.
It could be. I think it's a little bit deadlier than the flu, probably, especially for elderly people.
Yeah.
But it could certainly be that way. I think we're all worried about next winter when flu season comes back, when they're both, right now, if someone calls my office with a fever and cough, I can pretty much assume it's coronavirus because it's not winter anymore.
Yeah.
The problem next winter is going to be when the flu and all the other viruses are back. If someone calls me, I'm not going to know, and that makes managing things from a distance more difficult.
So vaccine is not something to get excited about.
It's super exciting if they, there's, dozens of companies or more that are working on this. A lot of money's at stake. I feel like at least one of them will probably show that it works. One of the crazy things is that all of these vaccines are going to be versus placebo to see if they're effective. So it's either going to be the vaccine or being injected with like sterile water, and which one works better. But none of the vaccines are likely to have to go on trials against each other. So it may be something where we're all going to be wondering which one works the best, and which one the government picks a contract for, and we won't know which one's necessarily more effective.
This is going to be a shit show.
Crazy.
This sounds like nuts.
It's a shit show because
we don't know which one.
Yeah, it's going to be a shit.
Just inject me with salt water and call it a day.
I feel like for the next 10 years, nursing homes have like security against corona. Like there's a corona, like
Task
I feel
force?
like a TSA. You got to get tested. You got to blah 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 just to visit a nursing home. I literally feel like that lasts for
the testing to me is going to be the big.
Yeah, the rapid testing would be very helpful. Listen, theoretically, could they make an oral pill that either when you get it early on or whatever, or even like with the flu, if your family member, spouse, someone has it, we prescribe a prophylactic dose. So it's an anti-flu viral that you take when let's say your girlfriend has it, you take it, and it basically prevents you from getting it or will make your case much less severe. So all of those things probably as the years go by will be here. So obviously this is going to be probably the worst it gets. But there's certainly a possibility if people this summer go out, do their thing, or in the fall, this could easily come back in a bad way.
Like, is there a Coachella next year?
I don't think so.
In
Come
April.
on.
I mean, I want to go if there is.
Obviously, I see you there every year.
I mean, concerts like that shit, like EDC, that's gone till 2024.
I mean,
Or don't you think it should be like, it's your risk, the same way like people go skydiving. And so one of the topics was Disneyland, who's looking to reopen, is coming up with pretty much, you're signing a release and saying you're entering at your own risk. If you fucking die, don't sue us.
I'm down for that.
The difference is if you're skydiving and the chute doesn't open, you splatter on the ground, and if you get coronavirus, theoretically, you're putting other people at risk in the community.
What if you fall like on a freeway?
Okay.
Well, it feels more. What if you fall into Coachella?
Yeah, and you
So
take
that's
out
the
10
thing.
people.
The problem is if you go into Coachella and you have it, let's say.
But so they got to do a rapid test.
It feels more like drunk driving.
You get your they check your ID to get your.
Illegal.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying it feels more comparable to drunk driving than to skydiving because you're putting others at risk.
But that's like saying why someone can't get let in without being able to test them.
Yeah.
So, but if, let's say Coachella in April, there's rapid testing.
You get a wristband.
You get your wristband. You've been tested. You get your alcohol. You get your Molly pill, and you get to go in. And and everyone has agreed by purchasing this ticket that they're entering at their own risk and cannot sue the festival for any reason, or sue any of the artists because they made a mosh pit or whatever it is. Like, if people are willing to take that risk, why can't we just let people do their thing?
Yeah,
I mean, choose not to go, but like other people, if they want to, what do I care?
I think the problem is like what we saw happen in Italy is when people live in multi-generational families and stuff.
Yeah.
Then they're making a decision for other people too.
Yeah.
You know, grandma doesn't know you're going to Coachella, and then you come.
It has to be a family decision. He goes, Grandma,
grandma has to sign off.
Grandma
Everyone who lives in the home.
I want to go to Coachella. Travis is performing.
Yeah.
Do you care if I go? There's a chance you could die, Grandma.
But it's Travis Scott.
Travis Scott.
Like,
and he's not coming back for the best 4 years.
Yeah.
If it's Travis.
Jeff, can I ask you a question? So just for us, as a 33-year-old and 39, how old are you? 39-year-old, relatively pretty healthy. How should we be approaching day-to-day life? Should we be scared to go to the store? Like, how should we be looking at this?
So again, everyone has a certain threshold of risk tolerance, and it's different. So it's hard for me to answer that question. I would say, in general, if someone in their 30s who really doesn't have medical problem gets coronavirus, maybe 1 in 1,000 will be severely ill. Most people are going to stay at home, be in bed, get a fever, be fine.
A lot of people will be asymptomatic.
Some people will be asymptomatic, just lose their smell, or even less than that, nothing. But there will be select cases where people get really sick. So it's just the same way we all make choices in life. We're going to drive, we're going to fly, we're going to do whatever other risky things we do. It's hard for a doctor to answer that question, just to say that the risk isn't zero, but I think I understand why someone who's healthy would want to get back to work and get back to routine things. Do the best you can to mitigate the risk. Wear a mask in big groups, wash your hands.
Yeah.
So one of the topics I had put on here for today which I think pertains to people like us, is wealthy people have started booking travel.
Yep.
I like what you did there. Pertains to people like us, huh?
Yeah. Are planning travel for the end of the year, holidays specifically.
Yep.
Private jet bookings are through the roof.
Yep.
There are safaris in Africa that are selling out.
Wow.
There's villas in Cabo that are getting booked. And people are saying that it is higher booking rate than it was a year ago. So is this going to become like everything else in the world, where the rich get to skate by? They get to fly private. They're going to test their pilot, test the attendant. They're going to go to their villa in Cabo and over Christmas for 3 weeks have a great time. Where like poor Betsy and Joe from Missouri are gonna schlep on a Carnival cruise and just get
murked.
Betsy and Joe
So
always
this
get
has
screwed.
already been going on, I'm going to say. So in my practice, I would say a number of people have decided they wanted to bring in all their staff, let's say, to quarantine in a house. So that could include trainer, chef, assistant, family members, friends. And so we've tested.
That's amazing.
That'd be so
for
cool.
example, like testing 20 people in one day and then having everyone wait. It takes a day to get the results. And then if everyone's negative, they can all go to the house.
And then they have to stay there the whole time.
They have to stay there.
That's real well.
Man, I would just, all my friends that like I want to hang out with, all right, everyone's getting tested. Here's a mansion. We'll all hang out.
Yeah, we got a trainer. We got a chef.
You guys will need a podcast, so I'll just hop along.
Yeah,
We'll need
Tim.
content. Tim, let's bring Tim.
Oh my God.
I even had someone try to ask me how much it would cost to reserve a ventilator in the hospital.
Just in case.
Although I don't think that can be done.
Yeah.
Like on a just in
Yeah,
case thing?
yeah.
Oh my God. Imagine that you reserve a bungalow in Cabo in case it goes one way, and you reserve
A ventilator in
in
Cedars just in case.
So you're covered on all angles.
But like, so thinking forward, like similar to what John was saying, we're talking about the Christmas holidays. People are talking about traveling.
Yeah.
Is it the same? You're taking the same approach, calculated risk, whatever you're comfortable with, because people are traveling. Like Taylor, who does, that works on the podcast with us. He hopped on a plane to Florida today. He's flying like he's like a Wright brother.
The third time.
Yeah, third time in the last 6 weeks.
And to
He's up on a
Florida,
plane.
which I would guess is like one of the most loose states.
Yeah, so I would say, protect yourself the best you can, but
If you got to go to Cabo, you got to go.
You got to go.
What if you got to fly coach and you got to fly commercial and you're going to stay in a hotel with 1,000 other people? Like, is it just like Pete, who's young and healthy, he's going to take his calculated risk and it's different? So like, for example, my parents have a wedding in January in Mexico. No chance they should go.
No.
Okay. Good. Mom, you hearing that?
One more time in case you didn't hear it.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay.
Super interesting.
And I'm trying to get like a clearer, like if I wear a mask and I wash my hands and I'm not all up in people's shit, like I'm probably fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely cuts down the risk significantly if you're not in a huge group. So you mean on a plane? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like if I'm out just kind of living, like if I wanted to go on a vacation or something like that.
Living, if you're wearing a mask and wash your hands, listen, is anything theoretically possible? Yes, you could get it, but you're pretty well protected.
Got it. Okay, I feel a lot better
in a
about
bus with 50 people coughing around you, it's still possible to get it with a mask on.
And
but if you're walking down the street or in a supermarket and not right next to people,
and statistically, if I get it,
you're more likely to get it from Pete.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, when Taylor comes waltzing back in here, he's going to be back here on day one.
Yeah.
There's no 2-week quarantine.
Yeah, not with that weasel.
Literally, he's going to be from the airport in here, like, he was sneezing before he left.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move off of Corona?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about, this isn't my area of expertise. You guys both know this better than I do. I saw a lot of news about the NFL and this Rooney Rule. There's like new incentives is it for hiring minority coaches or players, or what is it for?
Yeah, well, the players, obviously, we know are all minority.
Well,
there's a couple white quarterbacks and everyone else is black.
Well, by minority, I mean, if you hire more white people, you get a discount.
So the Rooney Rule is a rule that the NFL put in that you have to interview at least 2 minority candidates for head coaching openings and 1 minority candidate for any coordinator job. And what they want is to expand that rule and say that it also must include for female applicants for senior level positions, including president jobs. But if you do end up hiring a minority, one of the things they want to institute is that you'll be given enhanced draft picks. Like you maybe get moved up in the draft. This just shows how difficult it is for a minority to get a job in the NFL, that they're literally like, we will hand you a top pick, hire a fucking black person or a woman, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense that a league filled with former athletes, which are predominantly black, are not given a shot to coach. Because, you know, in any other sport, that's who gets the jobs. It's the former athletes, right? So it's, you know, I'm curious to see how, like, a white coach feels about it.
Yeah.
Do they feel that that's fair? Do they feel like those jobs are getting taken away from them? Really, Pete's like,
pissed.
Yeah, pissed. And so, it's like, they're clearly not getting even the opportunity to get those jobs. At least they had to make a rule just to get interviewed.
Yep.
So I think it's important. Like, you know, you could call it affirmative action, you can call it whatever you want, but like, it's the only way we have to force diversity in some cases.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff?
I think they need to hire some Indian coaches.
Good answer.
I mean, from a physical standpoint, I don't think we're in a place, you know, if, for example, if they put a Rooney Rule for doctors in India, in Cedars for Indian doctors, that'd be unfair. There's enough of us there.
Yeah, they don't need that.
we
guys are great doctors.
Thank you.
Really great doctors.
You guys.
Fine doctors on both sides.
I'll tell you one thing. Dee is not a great doctor.
My race has done well in the medical profession.
They're good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do an ad real quick. Pete, take it away.
Guys, welcome back. It is your boy Pete here. I'm officially on the camera instead of behind the camera to bring you today's advertiser, Tim. Tim keeps looking at me. And Tim's the only one I got in here, so he's the guy I'm going to have to bounce off this. Guys, today we're talking about Lunar Mail. A lot of people have been asking us about it. Guys, they want to know. They ask me, what is Lunar Mail? What is this whole disposable email thing? Tim, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No clue. I definitely haven't been here for the past 7 advertisements for them.
Well, Tim, because you're playing dummy today, I'm going to tell you about Lunar Mail. Lunar Mail is great because it is a disposable email address. The worst thing about giving away your private or your personal email address online is that they can track you.
Oh, God.
Yes, like a stalker. Do you want somebody following you around all day? That is what you do when you give away your private email online. Guys, you can head over to lunarmail.io, and for the first month free and only $2 a month after that, you get disposable emails. So you get to keep all the privacy. You get all the promos. And you stop the spam.
It's like the Kodak camera of emails.
Some would say.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. You can use code group chat again for that first free month and only $2 after that, guys. It gets forwarded right to your inbox. You don't give away any of your personal information. They let the disposable email do the work, save all the privacy. That's all I have. Guys, we have to get back to today's episode. Thanks, Tim.
Of course.
All right, let's get back into it.
And we're back. Thank you, Pete. That was beautiful. You're really getting better at those.
Yeah,
It's only up from here.
I feel like you're practicing on the weekend.
Yeah, sometimes. My free time.
What do we got? We got a Fortune 500 list for 2020 companies.
Yeah, so Fortune 500, these are the 500 largest companies in America. And this goes by revenue. So it's always an important list. So people that, you know, we hear the market cap of companies like Amazon and Apple are, you know, well over $1 trillion. Mm-hmm. The largest revenue company by a mile is Walmart.
That's wild.
$523 billion a year in revenue. Number 2 is Amazon at $280 billion of revenue. Then ExxonMobil, they're still pumping out oil, doing $264 billion. Then Apple at $260, CVS Health $256, Berkshire Hathaway, United Health Group, McKesson, AT&T. What this tells you is healthcare is fucking big, and that's going to be one of the biggest opportunities in the next decade. And the number 1 and 2 spot, Walmart and Amazon, are eyeing for a big spot in healthcare. Do you think that we're going to have just doctors' offices at Walmart full on?
I think they've tried something like that before. Or you could see it like a pharmacy, for example, doing it, like CVS.
I just have the retail footprint that like other folks just don't have.
Yeah.
And I know that
Walmart's
you could
that
see
big.
like CVS, for example, being an efficient place to get the vaccine, if there's ever a vaccine.
Yeah.
Because they already have like the patient's info. They know what other meds they're on to see if there's anything dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
We know
Elizabeth Holmes' plan, right?
we know that you're picking up a pack of cigarettes and Doritos.
Yeah, get a
We know you have
test.
problems.
Yeah.
Get a test, make sure you're healthy.
Yeah. And interesting enough, Walmart, you know, is number 1 on the list. And it just shows you the sheer power. And one of the other interesting bits of news that came out is that, so a few years ago in 2016, Walmart bought Jet.com. And it was their big foray into the digital space. They paid $3 billion for this company. They shut it down. They're shutting it down. And, you know, they made a string of acquisitions. They probably spent $4 billion total. And it's irrelevant. Their stock has like doubled in the last couple of years.
Yep.
And that's when people were like, I can't believe they made this purchase. People forget they do $528 billion in revenue. They do over $1 billion a day. Like $1.5 billion a day in revenue.
That's so
So this
insane.
is 2 days of revenue they spent on Jet. Who cares? 2 days.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Like,
And I'm sure they learned. I mean, didn't that help inform their e-com strategy?
For sure they did. They probably knew that all these people at these e-com companies are idiots
Yeah.
and that we don't need them.
Yeah, that's well worth it. Take one guy or something, you know, the coder. He's probably Indian too. Take him, get rid of the rest.
Take Rajiv, Rakesh, the rest of you guys, get the fuck out of here.
I can't believe, if you would have asked me, like, true or false, Walmart does double the revenue of Amazon, I'd be like, no chance.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, it just shows you and just look how much ExxonMobil. Like, who's buying all this gas?
Who has time to go to Walmart?
It's big in the Midwest.
Everything between here and New York.
Yeah, you're a bubble doctor.
Yeah,
your clients are like quarantining everyone they know so they can still have a good time during the coronavirus.
Your clients are reserving ventilators.
They probably order on Amazon.
We used to hang out at Walmart because there was nothing else to do.
They have
That's
food there
what-
and stuff. Like,
Yeah, they have food, but it's just like,
Yeah, going to Walmart was like a thing.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
but like they have like how like Target here has Starbucks.
sure.
They have like a
They have
coffee
like
thing.
corn dogs or something.
Yeah, they have food you can get and just walk
Oh
around.
yeah, They have great deli
You get
section.
greeted.
You just take a lap, walk out the other door, don't pay for it. I haven't done that, but you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good for Walmart, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
What's going on with retail? Like retail stocks are up in this crazy time. What's happening?
So the biggest news is of the last 24 hours is JCPenney filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they have 846 stores. That alone was jaw-dropping. They still have that many stores.
Yep.
They're looking to close 240 stores and then reemerge from bankruptcy. Interesting enough, Amazon is looking to take a look at this and potentially acquiring the department store. I mean, this is another thing where it's like an irrelevant amount of money, whatever JCPenney is worth. Let's say it's no way worth even $1 billion. It's just real estate. It's distribution centers. It's whatever. Like, if they need the footprint because they want to be closer to people's homes, they might as well just buy it.
Totally.
But it's scary between Walmart and Amazon. They are just eating everybody's lunch in retail. It is crazy. So curious to see if this deal actually goes through. They did that partnership with Kohl's and it obviously was effective for Kohl's, but like they're pretty much gonna, JCPenney they'll probably get for free.
It kind of seems like Walmart is trying to become Amazon online and Amazon is trying to get the Walmart footprint. They're going to be the same company.
Yes. And I think it's gonna be a matter of like Walmart is gonna own suburbia and Amazon's gonna own the urban areas. And then the internet still is owned by Amazon for the most part, and Walmart's making a play for it.
Yeah.
But it is like a two-man race. It's just these two gigantic forces going after each other. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they each just have what the other doesn't.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Maybe
Okay.
they should merge.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, can
they'll
you
never
imagine?
allow that. That'll
They
be
would-
all kind of antitrust.
Jesus.
Walmazon. It would literally.
Amazon's good.
Walmazon would own the country.
Yeah.
It would be, they could probably get testing out there for Corona.
Yeah.
For
Walmazon
sure.
would
They could
definitely.
probably give us all
Bezos and
checks
the
as
Waltons
well.
would have checks, tests, vacation plans with vouchers, a cruise.
Book a cruise there.
Yeah,
Here's your
package. Here's your package from your leader, Walmazon.
Thank you, Amazon.
Okay. Okay, the biggest news of the, biggest news of social media land for sure. This to me feels big. Kevin Mayer, the head of direct-to-consumer and international for Walt Disney & Co., is leaving.
Yep.
Because he got a big CEO job.
Yes.
Might surprise you where he's going. TikTok.
Huge.
He's going to go do some little dances.
So this guy not only ran the direct-to-consumer business, he oversaw the streaming business too. This guy I mean, this just solidified TikTok to me in America.
Yep.
When you get a nice, older, successful white man as your leader.
That's how you know you made it.
You made it.
In America.
Like you're paying him through the nose.
Yeah.
This guy's not leaving fucking the mouse for some small amount of money to go to some Chinese social network that's stealing all our data.
I wonder what that interview's like, right? Because you're essentially like, you're this free American, Walt Disney, whatever, and now you're essentially going to work for the Chinese government.
Yeah.
There has to be, he's getting paid, but there has to be some like, hey, just so you know though, there's like this other thing that you guys don't have in America.
Yeah, it's called we do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
And to look at everyone's information. So it's a lot easier to make decisions. Don't worry. Here you're not going to ever miss on any content guesses. When we make a movie at TikTok here, it's gonna be the biggest movie of the year.
If I was Zucks, I would be a little nervous about this one.
Yeah, because that means they're looking to expand. The thing about TikTok that I still love, forget the engineering, forget everything else, I think they did the one thing that I never saw anyone else do in the American social network space, which is pay talent.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the talent that drives these platforms.
Yep.
And Instagram was early, so they were able to capitalize, and they have such a moat, and they were able to scale. But like, if you want to break into it, dude, TikTok was breaking bread to creators, crazy money.
Early.
They probably spend billions of dollars on talent to make it popular.
Yeah.
And that's like a brand. That's like when you launch a new car, you got to spend money on marketing. Technology people think, oh, if the product is good, it'll just go viral. No, that's bullshit.
And now it's like not even cool to be big on TikTok because everybody's big on TikTok.
And now when I look through my Instagram, it looks more and more like TikTok.
Yeah.
It's
Because
all
people are
videos.
posting your TikTok videos.
Yeah, and it's all videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty
they
wild.
clearly have the ambition of being more than a social network if they went and hired a guy from fucking the mouse.
Yeah.
They're gonna go do movies. They're gonna create content. They're gonna have TV. They could start a streaming service. I mean, they're an $80 billion private company.
Yeah.
They can do whatever the hell
And
they
they have
want.
these like 12 and 13-year-olds in the palm of their hands. So
Yes.
they're just going to grow up.
I think they
Take it with them.
They
Yeah,
could really
go-
be Instagram.
Yeah.
I really think they could.
Yeah. I mean, I think getting a guy like this who ran a very important division for the most important media company, that's a big move. And it's Chinese, it's like endless money. Like they're going to keep raising money. They're going to go public. They're going to have the wallet to go after the mouse.
But what are you going to do when all the data that we complain that Zuckerberg owns is owned by fucking China? If that's what people aren't even prepared for. You're too busy trying to get it from Zuckerberg's hands. Little do you know, the next person that's going to have it is the Chinese government.
Well, as long as you're entertained and you're laughing and you're smiling, and you could say, "I'm a savage."
Yeah, classy.
I'm a freak.
But here's my
Whatever.
data.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Disney's market cap is $200 billion. Privately, ByteDance, who owns TikTok, is $73 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna be bigger than fucking Disney in 5 years.
Yeah. It's scary. That's really scary. Okay, well, I'm gonna take dance lessons.
Okay.
We'll be fine. Okay, talk about the video. You know, obviously in the age of Corona, video chatting has become the thing. It used to, for me at least, it was like an annoying thing that sometimes people would ask to do, and I would try to get around it. Now it's become like something I do 15 times a day. Everyone's talking about Zoom. Google, which we've been using. On our side, we use Google Hangout or Chat or whatever.
Yeah.
Because of exactly what I just did, my confusion there, it looks like Google is trying to kind of combine everything into one thing, make it a little clearer. It's free. Use this instead of Zoom.
Yeah, Google has all these incredible tools that nobody uses.
Yep.
So they had Google Hangouts, they had Google Chat, Google GChat, Google Meet, and now they're trying to like consolidate all these great products into one. And I think what quickly was Zoom was like the flavor of the month. And then Google Hangout, everyone realized it's the same exact thing as Zoom, and it's 100% free. So I think like
But Zoom is, I gotta say, I use Google every day. Zoom figured out something where the quality and the lack of glitching, like there's something there that's better.
Yeah, so I do agree from a technology standpoint, Zoom is still superior, but Google has the resources to fix that problem.
Totally.
Right? If they actually want video conferencing is a thing of the future. You were saying like you do Zoom appointments now, right?
almost 90% of my appointments are like virtual appointments now.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
so-
you have like a fancy office. So
Yeah.
how do you see your business going?
I think medical's going virtual, just like the
Really?
world. Well, you know, it depends what kind of doctor you are, but for an internist,
So you're not going to have to touch my balls.
well, you know, a once a year ball touch is still necessary.
It's
Okay.
good to check in and
You
get a ball
can't do
touch.
a virtual ball touch? Just like a hand.
Can you
just
do like
come
a
and sit?
virtual like rash inspection?
You could see if technology gets there. You could see like a virtual stethoscope existing. You could see where you literally, you know, the patient. We have I have a thing where for people who travel a lot, there's a lot of virtual, you know, blood pressure cuffs that are Bluetooth, all this stuff. So the patient can actually take their vitals from home. We can follow up on their blood pressure without them having to come into the office.
Wow.
So this is all stuff we've been doing for a couple years, but because of the coronavirus, I actually things slowed down, ironically enough, for me to think about some of these things. So we're doing much more virtual now, yeah.
But you can do like if I had a weird rash or something, I could Zoom you and be
Yeah.
like, hey
Like
man,
a
is this okay?
dermatologist doesn't need to see you.
Well, if they're going to cut something off, they do.
Okay.
But if they're going to look at a rash
Yeah.
and write you for cream,
Just
yeah.
put some ointment.
If it's dry, make it wet. If it's wet, make it dry.
Is that what they say?
Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. You pimple popper.
That's good. Yeah, I just feel like, man, I didn't even think about the doctor element of it, but the way that office space is going to change because of all these damn Zoom and Google chats, it's wild.
Yeah.
Because especially when we're talking about like, there's not a hard stop to this. Like, oh, October we have the vaccine, it's all over, back to normal. Since this is going to linger for so long, it's like leases are going to end, people aren't going to renew.
Yeah. And, you know, if you look at the medical real estate is a huge business. I mean, you guys, the industry has so much real estate.
Cedar Sinai owns Peppermint Club. That's Brian's
Landlord, right?
landlord.
That's insane.
They own Peppermint Club?
Yeah.
Well, they own the real estate.
Yeah, that's wild.
I mean, they got to expand, right?
So Cedars is interesting. They're a nonprofit. So all the money, the endowment money, they have to spend. So they're constantly, if you walk through the halls, there's like Picasso's. They
Yeah.
have to spend the money.
Yeah. Cedars,
So
for
that-
those people that are listening, Cedars is a hospital in the middle of LA and like pretty much Beverly Hills.
We were ranked, I believe, number 7 in the U.S. this year.
7?
Yeah.
What was better?
I think Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic,
Okay.
Harvard, Penn,
Really?
Stanford maybe was ahead of us.
Fucking
We're
idea.
right there though. We're
Those
top
are hard
10.
to beat.
Yeah.
Those names are hard to beat. Who
Yeah.
knows? Like, how do you really compare a hospital?
That's true.
You know,
I go by how rich the
I
people
say
that
mine
go.
was the best
Yeah.
personally. We
Yeah.
have Picasso's. So.
Let's go by occupancy.
Yeah.
We're low as shit.
Guess what? If you go to Cedars, guess where you can walk? You can walk to the nice guy and get a meal.
Don't see you doing that at Johns
I've done that so
Hopkins.
many times.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were there for my wife's labor, I was getting Postmates from everywhere.
Yeah, the neighborhood's definitely way better.
Yeah.
That should add to something.
Yeah.
Okay, last kind of Corona adjacent news. Uber is laying off 3,000 more employees. You know, they're calling it Corona-inspired cuts. I'm sure, obviously, that it's having a crazy impact on their business, but 3,000 more are out.
So they are cutting employees, and they're also like walking away from some of their businesses. So they had all these huge ambition to be in. They had this business called Uber Works, which is a work shift finder app. They were in the Uber freight business for the trucking industry. They may cut resources for their autonomous driving division. So, I mean, I think for a company like Uber, who were spread very thin, had a huge ambition, until you have a money-making business, like if you actually looked under the hood of Google, they're probably spending money on so much bullshit that will never generate money, but they have a search engine that shits cash, so no one cares. Or Apple or Microsoft or Facebook. But for Uber, who doesn't make money, they need to actually be a little more focused. I think this is great. I think the CEO is actually doing a great job. Get the company focused, get it profitable, and then in 5 years you can go after these moonshot projects. Yeah. I mean, autonomous driving to me is such a big thing for the ride-sharing industry. But maybe if Uber's not the one that figures it out, they're going to have to pay a huge licensing fee to Google or Microsoft or whoever actually figures it out. But I like it, and I think it's a good step for startups in general, because now it'll give the comfort for all these tech-based VC-backed startups to be like, if Uber is being this disciplined, then we all have to be this disciplined, and we have to walk away from certain industries and businesses.
I agree. Okay. Well, this brings us to our final segment.
Yes.
As seen on social is what we do every Wednesday. And we just point out one thing that we saw anywhere on social media that we thought was interesting. I think we have a couple good ones today.
Yeah.
Dee, what do you got?
So mine is, and I saw, it was funny, I overheard my neighbor even talking about this because I think this is pretty crazy news. Jordan's first Air Jordan sneakers sold for a record $560,000 at Sotheby's.
What do they mean first?
So this is a shoe that he wore, I think, on like the first time this shoe came out, which is the Jordan 1s.
Got it.
So it's a game-worn shoe from his rookie season. So if you really think about it, that is the most iconic shoe ever, right? Especially the Jordan 1. This is the first season.
Is that the gotta be the shoes shoe?
No, I don't think that was that.
I think it is.
It is?
Spike Lee?
Yeah.
I don't know.
$560,000. Honestly, it's Michael Jordan's shoe. It's the first of the most iconic shoe. I think it's cheap.
Really?
Yeah.
But who buys that?
I mean, probably
Some
Jeff's
billionaire
clients.
Probably.
Jeff, let us know whose house
I mean,
that goes into.
I mean, if you're courting 30 of your buddies just to have a good time,
That's true.
you could buy a
Just
fucking
playing
pair of
pickup
shoes.
games in the back. Like, hey, look what I got. I heard, too, that they're two different sizes.
Yeah.
Like, with the right's a little bigger than the left.
Yeah, that's just probably how it's put. I mean, Drake would have bought it.
Yeah,
You don't think Drake wants to own that?
it's true.
Jay-Z? I mean, if 560 seems cheap to have, especially after watching Last Dance, and if you grew up watching Michael Jordan, and you could have his shoe.
Yeah, it's a good time for that sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, shit. I mean, if you're that rich, why the fuck not?
Yeah. I would buy dumb shit like that all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's Michael Jordan.
That's why I'll never be that rich, because I'll get like kind of that way. I'll start buying dumb shit. Okay. Jeff, do you have any? Do you have anything stand out to you on social media? Are you even on social media?
I'm on social.
I know you've got a hot following, but I didn't know if you even have the time to engage.
I mostly do Instagram. I have not explored TikTok. Not a TikToker.
Yeah, I don't think
Twitter?
that's...
I don't have Twitter either.
Really?
I feel like I should.
Doctor should have. You have a lot of thoughts. You can pontificate.
I do have thoughts. I have no free time. I can't do too many. It's too many things.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. So for the listener who doesn't know, Jeff just sort of randomly blew up on Instagram as like hot doctor dude.
Yeah.
And got this really big following. Then you also got a billboard campaign, right, for figs?
I thought my Instagram was because of my insightful content.
No.
Yeah.
No. You were
Most doctors look like me. That's why.
Yeah. You
Let's
were like
not joke around here.
You're like a soap opera fantasy in real life.
And what's your Instagram handle?
It's Jeff Toll MD.
I thought it was going to be Hot Doctor Jeff Toll.
Hot Doctor.
Oh my god, that'd be
I should see if
insane.
that's taken.
You should. I like Dr. Jeff. That's what I've been calling you forever. I think it's such a good brand because you're like a friendly guy, Dr. Jeff. That's my guy.
Yeah, just like the neighborly Dr. Jeff.
Yeah.
You can trust him.
I mean, some people call me that.
Yeah. Like Mikey.
Mikey does call me that.
Okay, well, hit up Dr. Jeff, especially if you're between the beach and where?
Downtown?
Yeah, anywhere in LA.
Anywhere core
Beverly Hills,
LA.
West Hollywood.
Yeah, we're
trying to-
talking nice neighborhoods here. We're not, you're out deep south. Don't hit him up.
No.
Okay,
I'm gonna
hit
have
up
to
Dr.
check-
Jeff,
have to check
especially
my
if you want to.
insurance.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to check those antibodies.
Yeah.
That's the hot product of the year. Okay, good. Mine is big news. We've sort of alluded to something like this has to happen soon. It has happened. Joe Rogan, the king of all podcasting, I would say probably the single most undervalued media platform in the world,
Ever.
has signed an exclusive deal with Spotify.
Yes.
So the way that it sounds, he did like a little video about it. The way that it sounds is he's going to continue to release on all platforms until the end of the year. And then starting at the end of the year, it'll be Spotify exclusively, which would mean no YouTube, no nothing, which is pretty insane. But this just seems to me like, number one, he must have got a paycheck beyond all paychecks. I cannot imagine. What was Bill Simmons?
So I think a better comparison would be because Bill Simmons sold his company. So
Yeah.
Joe Rogan will continue to own the IP of his Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
In 2004, Howard Stern signed a 5-year, $500 million deal with Sirius.
Yep.
I would argue that Joe Rogan is bigger than Howard Stern, than how big Howard Stern was right now. Spotify is, I don't know, a $30 billion company. They want to be in the podcast space desperately. What is it worth? So the way the exclusive works is it goes on Spotify first, and then in a few months, it said later in the year, it will be only exclusively on Spotify. That means you cannot get it on Apple Podcasts. The number one podcast in the world is no longer on Apple. Big fucking fumble for Apple.
I mean,
What are you doing over there? This is another problem with technology companies. They don't want to write the check.
Yeah.
Spotify came and said, screw it. He's Mike. By the way, how old's Joe Rogan? 50?
52.
Okay.
He's on a lot of HGH. He looks younger now than he did 10 years ago.
He could do this comfortably 30 more years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so lock him
He'll
down.
be like Larry King. He's healthy as fuck. He'll be like 95 with like stem cell
even
treatment.
Howard Stern, was he 70s? He's still killing. His ratings are probably through the roof.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, I don't see a world where he is not making less than $100+ million a year, plus selling his advertising.
Yeah.
I think it's like the richest media deal ever, and Spotify has balls and went for it.
Yeah. This is wild. I just cannot believe. I just can't even begin to understand what Apple's mentality is about any of this.
They don't want to pay talent.
But look at, they just did, like, how do you have the mentality to I'm sure, pay out the ass for Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell and content?
Because that's just, they understand, you just pay for TV shows because some schmuck old Hollywood exec is sitting there.
But look at the data. Look at the amount of people that watch the morning show versus a guy sitting in a Woodland Hills freaking office.
Yeah.
How do you not see that's a steal?
That's why I even look at a Barstool Media. It's so undervalued as a business. It just, to me, is so undervalued considering their cultural influence. And I think podcast space, when you see a deal like with Joe Rogan and how many freaking people listen to that podcast, it is podcast. When you think podcast, you think Joe Rogan.
It is.
Every time.
He's
podcast.
It's $1 billion machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that Apple, like, it's the same thing. If I was Apple, I would go to Drake and say, here's $100 million a year. All your music is only on Apple Music.
Yeah.
That's it. Stop putting it everywhere.
Yeah.
And Drake would say, okay, great.
Yeah. I don't get it. Joe
Why
also
wouldn't you
does a really good job at acting like he doesn't make that much money.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that, kind of chubby, bald head white guy. Like, this guy can't be rich.
You're saying his fan?
Him.
You called him kind of chubby?
He's jacked.
He looks kind of chubby to me. He has a fat face.
Ripped.
He has a fat face.
That's the HGH.
Yeah.
Is HGH safe? What's it
Human
speeds
growth
up
hormone.
I know, but does it speed up cancer or what's the? Because it seems appetizing to me.
Yeah, that's the downside.
Yeah,
It speeds up cancer?
Well,
You have to have it.
It's a growth factor.
Okay.
And so it increases the risk of cancer. And if you had a cancer, it would probably accelerate it, most likely. There's not that much data, though, because at least in the U.S., it's been illegal. And so there's not great studies to say you go from like a 1% risk to a 4%. No one knows.
Yeah.
But yes, very likely increased cancer.
But that's kind of the only thing right now that we know.
He probably does like stem cells and all sorts of other fancy stuff.
I want the whole.
I mean, Will Smith has to be just HGH'd.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And his wife, I think his wife has admitted to that they both take it.
I mean, I'm
into
looking
it.
forward. I wanted that to be my 40th birthday gift to myself.
Yeah.
Just go on the full
I
cocktail.
don't see. Yeah. I mean, so you just do regular cancer testing more often than you would.
Basically, if you have a strong family history, then that'd be a reason to avoid it for sure. But people have been experimenting with these types of things. In like the 80s, 90s, it was more like anabolic steroids, testosterone. And a lot of those, whether we're talking about the baseball players, football players, WWF, all those guys died like in their 50s, 60s of massive coronaries.
Yeah.
So that one didn't work.
Yeah.
So we'll see on this one.
So we should see what happens to Will Smith first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a little ahead of me. I could kick in at 50 and I would know what happened to Will.
Probably.
Yeah, Will's what, mid-50s?
Yeah.
Yeah, sign me up for whatever he's on.
Yeah, it seems like a win-win.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
Joe Rogan hit the lottery.
Yeah, his bank account is on HGH as well.
Yeah.
He is rich. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but I just can't believe the level of ball drop.
And Pete, don't we have something exciting to talk about?
We do. We have a couple things.
Okay, wow.
We'll start with this one.
Okay.
From Daddy-O Trading Company.
Daddy-O Trading Company, John, who, if you've been listening to the podcast, over Christmas, he wrote us a holiday book.
Which was
Incredible.
outstanding.
And he sent us this lovely package today, Group Chat University sweatshirts. And he wrote, he gave one to all of us. He goes, Dear Dee, congratulations. It is with great honor and privilege that we're happy to welcome you as an inaugural professor here at Group Chat U.
Okay.
We're excited to shape our growing scholastic community this coming term online via podcast and YouTube, because we're not going to have any physical classes due to the China virus.
China.
Trump voice. Please rest assured your salary will not be affected due to the fact that we'll still be charging students full tuition. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to communicate with the department. Your acceptance allows you to teach the following courses. Here are some of the courses I will be teaching this fall. Fuck Peloton 101.
Nice.
The Art of Boondoggles.
Okay.
Why Pete's an Idiot. Hot Stock Tips. Living in a Bubble. Again, congratulations. We here at Group Chat U wish you all the success as you began your exciting journey with us.
This guy goes.
I mean, we could probably sign up 10,000 people to this.
I mean, Tim over here just said he got more information from us since he started than his whole entire
yeah, where'd you go to
career.
college? Emerson, okay, yeah.
Okay, fuck off, Emerson.
Yeah,
you can't compete with us.
Give Tim a refund.
Tim a refund? Why don't you just give that money to us? Run an ad with us.
That's good.
We should really run ads for colleges.
Be good.
We should just do the Trump thing and start our own university and scam people.
Is that
Oh,
not
we
what
gotta
this
get-
is? That's what I thought that was.
Yeah, that's essentially what we're trying to do.
We can do an online course.
Yeah.
Get Taylor in here.
There was more
course.
information in this podcast than
Oh,
anything
for-
Trump's ever done in his
Oh,
entire
that's for sure. That's for sure. We should charge. Spotify, just saying, if you're doing deals,
Yeah.
we're open.
We could do it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah,
Pennies in the
a
dollar.
fraction of Joe.
Okay.
Is that it? Is there
No,
another one?
oh no.
Oh,
we got
shit.
2 more things.
Okay.
So get this. Just got sent this. So a firm in Wisconsin is going to be placing chips into their employees.
Wow.
40
take
of
it.
them. Let me just read about
me up.
the details
Are
here
you
real
sure
quick.
it's not potato chips?
No. no, it's real
That I'm sure a lot
microchips.
of firms in Wisconsin do.
Is there ever a scenario where you could have some sort of embedded thing that would always register if you had corona, or that not even the same technology, not even the same?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I'd be down for that. If it just beeped, you
Then
got
we
a
all
text
would.
like, oh, you got it.
You're like, oh, fuck. You get that beep in public and everyone just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so a firm that makes cafeteria kiosks aimed at replacing vending machines got tiny rice-sized microchips embedded in their hands. Company officials said it was for the convenience and a way for them to bypass using company badges and corporate logons to computers. Now they can just have their hands read by a reader, similar to using a smartphone to pay for goods.
Cool.
So essentially, you use your hand, you can throw your phone away.
I'm into it. I mean, let's be honest. Be totally honest. If you walked in here on Monday and we said, Pete, we're starting a new thing. All employees are getting it. Jeff is actually, it's just going to feel like a little prick. This will get you in and out of the building. Everything will be fine. Would you do it?
Any incentives?
You get $10 of snacks a day.
And you continue working here. If not, everyone else will have to be let go.
Chip me up.
You don't give a shit. You'd be like, whatever, dude. Here.
Yeah.
You said chips. You said,
I wouldn't think twice
do I
about
get
it.
to choose the chips or do you choose the chips?
Yeah, I mean,
What color can I get it in?
Yeah.
Is it blue? Is it red?
I want a Balenciaga chip. I also think if you can add payments in there, sign me up.
Yeah. You kidding me?
Apple chip.
Oh, if you never had a wallet, if you had ID
could never lose my wallet.
information, like imagine
Yeah.
you had Clear,
Yeah.
all credit cards.
I've been saying for years, probably 10 years, just put a chip in me.
Yeah. Fuck it.
I don't care.
I don't care.
And track me too if you
I
want.
just don't want to wait in line. I don't want to wait for anyone to give me a bill.
I don't
know
want to
where
quit
I am.
losing shit. I
Yeah.
can just, if I just have it
I'm
installed
moving on
in
with
me.
my day.
I don't think the
Convenience.
MAGAs are going to be into that.
Maga doesn't like chips.
Guess what? My body, your choice.
Yeah.
That's my motto.
My body, you do whatever the hell you want. I just want all the conveniences in life.
Yes.
I get to board we're going to board the chip class first.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. In there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one.
Yes.
So yesterday on Behind Closed Doors with Dee, we did discuss about the whole Barstool thing. Sophia, the girl with Suitman, has spoken out in her story 9 minutes ago.
Wow. What'd she say?
It's all stupidity. She didn't even say anything. Charlie addressed anything, so you can go watch it. You can watch back a little recap on Behind Closed Doors.
Yeah.
But
Can you tell me
We're gonna
quickly
have-
what happened with Suitman, or is it too long?
So the real, we talked about it more deep on the YouTube page, so check it out. But the high level is there's a podcast on Barstool Sports called Call Her Daddy. It's a very popular podcast. They wanted to renegotiate their deal. They went to El Presidente to renegotiate their deal. Simultaneously, they were shopping their deal to somebody else, Wondery.
Got it.
one of the girls had a suit boyfriend, like a 38-year-old guy that worked at HBO that Barstool has now destroyed, probably ruined this man's career.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I saw just that.
And Dave Portnoy hijacked their feed, released a podcast under there, and pretty much
It was
put
the
out
number
into
one
the
episode.
world
That's
how
why
much
I was
money
in
they
one.
made. They put $500,000 a year they were making. He offered them $500,000 a year, guaranteed payment, plus incentives on merch and ads, and they were going to launch a liquor brand and all this stuff. A very rich deal, and it was only for 2 more years. One more year.
1 year. He cut off 6 months.
Yeah, and so then they still were playing games. So that's when he was like, "Fuck this, I'm exposing you." And then those girls started fighting because they're like, "This deal is good," but the suit man was trying to like get.
Well, the suit man sleeping with one of them.
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
Yeah.
And so now it's over. So now that podcast is obviously
No,
done.
one of the girls is trying to bail on and saying, "I'll come to Barstool." Fuck the other girl.
God, he's such a
And now the
genius.
other girl just spoke out. And yesterday he banked $1 million and his Davey day trader.
I saw that.
And he's just like, "Fuck you. You know, you work for the man. I am the man."
Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
video and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it was just big dick energy everywhere.
Oh my
The guy
God.
wins.
Well, good for him, man. He's one of the best media users.
And he's proved it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this time, I think
He should
he's...
stay on lockdown. Stay on quarantine, Dave.
Yeah,
it's the
it
best for
really
you and
worked
your
for him.
business.
I think he comes out of this the hottest commodity.
He shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
anything but creating content, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he does all day. He just does it. It's just been like in a very concentrated form now because nobody else is competing with him.
Yeah, he
good.
owns
Yeah.
like new media.
Yeah.
They
They
should
have
lock him
vlogs,
in
they
a
have
room.
everything. He does this. He's on like radio. He does content all day, every day.
And
The
I
normal-
watch him on
the normal day.
CNBC. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
It's hilarious.
Okay. Is that it now?
That's all I got.
All right, that's all we got. Guys, thank you so much. Make sure you check out our IGTV and YouTube show, Behind Closed Doors, hosted by Pete and Corona Taylor. What are you going to do with Taylor gone? Doing it by yourself?
Oh, well, we just zoom in anyways.
Okay.
That's true.
True.
It's a convenience factor.
Okay, we can see if Taylor survives his trip to Florida.
Yep.
That'll be good content.
Yep.
I can test him when he gets back for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He went to Beverly too.
Ah, legend. Norman.
Yeah, he's a big Norman.
Okay, and then check out our website, Melrose Street Journal. Subscribe to our newsletter.
Taylor just wrote a epic newsletter.
Did he?
Yeah. Oh, he
Really
didn't
good
read
one.
it.
Well, we are
On
the new
DoorDash.
Barstool in the making. So if you want Barstool for business, you came to the right place.
Yep.
Ding, ding,
And
ding.
Dee's Dave Portnoy. So Dee, we're gonna need you to turn it up a few notches.
I can, I just have to, I think, harass Pete so much that
Maybe
it
you guys
becomes
could
like a
stage
thing.
a fake, like Pete quit, you expose
Yeah.
him. You know, I don't know.
I want maybe Pete calls me a racial slur, and then I go out on the stage.
Yeah. In a text, and you expose the text.
Yeah.
And we find out Pete was actually a racist this whole
The whole
time.
time he has like a big swastika on his back.
He has
like,
a
"Fuck."
MAGA shrine in his house.
Yeah, no, I don't ever go swimming. I don't ever take my shirt off.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you on Friday.